Does your family ever tell you why they moved to California from Mexico?
Yeah, I mean, they moved, because they wanted a better life for themselves and for their future family. Things were not, there was no future in Mexico. They didn't see progress. And so, they were living a rough life back there, it was kind of like, there wasn't a lot of work. So my grandfather was the first one to come over and find work. And then he told the familia, hey, come down and whatever. So my parents, even though they had met in Juarez, in Chihuahua, when they were in high school, they reunited in LA. And that's when they got married. And that's why I was born here.
How did they reunite? Do they ever tell you that story? Was it accident, coincidence?
I think it's, people stay in touch. Both sides of my family are large. So a lot of brothers and sisters on my mom's side and my dad's side. So when they came to LA, one thing led to another. Like, hey, do you know so-and-so's in town? Oh yeah, we should get together again. That kind of stuff. And then they met up and they decided to get married, So, I was born here in East LA.
After your parents get married, why do they decide to settle in East LA?
So, they lived in LA very short time because I think by the time I was 1 year old, I think we moved to Alhambra, which is basically where I grew up, San Gabriel Valley, mostly in Alhambra, because my grandmother bought a big house with apartments in the back. And so, we were able to move there and all that stuff. So wherever the family went, that's where we all went, So it was kind of cool growing up with a huge extended family. And, Alhambra was a different place back then. It was a lot of older white people at the time when I was growing up, I remember. But then it turned Asian while I was like in grammar school. Like a lot of Asians started moving in and not very many Latinos, actually. There were a few here and there, but it was mostly an Asian community by the time I got to high school.
Were you getting into trouble at a young age? What kind of kid were you growing up?
Yeah, you know what? I was a very studious kid. Like I wanted to learn a lot. I was always joking. I was like the class joker, and I got in trouble for that kind of stuff. But really, I wanted to learn. I wanted to like learn about stuff. I was an athlete. I played baseball when I was a kid. I played soccer. Actually, I played soccer my whole life. Even played semi-pro after college. But I was always like into school, and I found it very easy. I got good grades for not even trying. But really the thing was art. Like drawing, I don't know why, but I had to do it all the time. And I remember when I was a kid, I was drawing cars, I was drawing animals. I was the kid in class that the teacher would say, hey, go draw the solar system for the class because we need to talk about it in science,
Would your teachers ever mention to your parents how talented you were?
Yeah, my teachers, from the get-go, I mean, the very first day in kindergarten, I guess I drew this crazy tiger on a piece of paper, and my mom got a call by a teacher right away, like, hey, you got to come back. And she thought I was in trouble or something, so she came back, and she showed my mom this drawing I did. She said, do you know your son can draw like this? And she goes, oh, yeah, he draws all the time. And she was like, no. Like, at this age, kids don't draw like this from memory. Like, this is not normal. But my mom just thought it was whatever. And even to this day, I tell her, like, how come you didn't have any of my drawings when I was a little kid? And she tells me, like, well, if I would have known you were going to be an artist, I would have kept them, And I was like, all right, whatever. So all my teachers always kept my drawings when I was growing up. And I don't, I have all these stories, but I don't have a lot of evidence. You know what I'm saying?
Do you have any favorite childhood memories from that time?
Yeah, I mean, my favorite memories were like the last hour of class, each day. They would send me to another room where I could just draw for the class, because it was like, let's say they were doing, it was Halloween and we had to do the Halloween ornaments. They'd send me to go do all the ornaments for the class. So that was dope. It was like, I was getting like a free hour of not doing anything, just drawing. And all the kids were jealous and they're like, how come we can't go help them out? And I don't know. I was just, that was my favorite time in school, was like that 1 hour at the end of the day where I got to just draw and do whatever I wanted. And it kind of felt like I was a little bit special at the time. I was like, I stood above the other kids because I was like, man, I got to have my own time. It was a trip. It was good.